Am I hot? Good. Tom, why don't you join us? Tom.
Hi, how are you? Morning.
So when you plan a program with Tom Oakes, one key thing you got to ask him is, are you going to be at the meeting? And he said, yeah, I'll be there virtually. That'll do it. What we wanted to do in this program, and it's just a half-an-hour program, is to have some fun, but talk about readily available technology that every one of us have in our devices sitting on our tables, to connect and use that for video conference, and not just a video conference. We've all FaceTimed. We've probably all used Skype. Many of us use GoToMeetings. Well, we wanted to introduce something else to you that really helps make it easier to have video depositions. And so that's what we're going to do here this morning. The software platform that we're running off of this morning is GoToMeeting. How many people have GoToMeeting or an equivalent on their device? It's really an excellent product, amazingly inexpensive. Adobe Connect is another one. Skype is available. Microsoft has a product called Link. Google has a product called Hangout. FaceTime doesn't work for this because you can't, on FaceTime, bring in multiple players. So many of our cases, certainly cases I have tight litigation budgets, as much as I try to expand those. And in those budgets, oftentimes you're just in a situation where it's physically impossible to get to a deposition given the time and expense associated with it. One of the difficulties in video depositions like this that I've always had is, how do you manage exhibits? Do you send your whole exhibit package in advance so that everybody has it? That's the usual protocol. The problem with that protocol, biggest problem for me, is I may well have exhibits that I don't want the witness to see in advance of me showing them to them. So we're going to explore and do a little mock video deposition here this morning. Tom, talk to us a little bit about your new company, Veritex, in terms of what they're doing about exhibit sharing, and then we'll give a demonstration of that.
The idea of exhibit sharing in a paperless deposition, you have the ability as the attorney, as Bob's going to demonstrate shortly, Bob has the opportunity to have a secure server where his documents are going to be loaded up, and he will then have the Christie Law Group's actual server. In addition to that, he'll have an introduced folder so that when everyone is going to log into the server for the case, and Bob will then be able to take the file that he wants the person to see, meaning the witness and all the attorneys, he'll just slide it over, drag and drop, and the document will actually drop into their systems. They click on it and it's there.
Hey, we have a 4-minute and 40-second movie here. I'm going to show this technology to you.
To activate your account, you'll receive an email from Veritex. Go ahead and accept the invitation. Click Set Up Your Account. Read the terms of service. If you agree, click Agree. Then you need to enter your first name, last name, and create a passcode. We recommend using a strong password, as this will give access to your exhibits. So I'm going to go ahead and enter a password. Click Next. You don't need to add a profile picture. And that's it. Your Veritex Exhibit Share account is now set up and ready to begin. For your deposition, we'll have created a folder right here called Deposition of, and the witness's name and the date. Underneath that folder, if you click the little triangle, you'll see some subfolders. Introduced is where the official exhibits will go. We won't worry about that until it's time for the deposition. Private is where you will load your potential exhibits. You and anybody else on your team are the only people who can see the files in here. What this means is you can load any potential exhibits you might use for that deposition. And until you actually put them into the introduced folder, no one is going to see them. So let's load some files. I can load files directly into the private folder.
This part's really exciting.
Files, choosing the files I want, and clicking Open, and it's going to securely load that file directly in. If you have a lot of files, you can actually utilize the drag and drop functionality. So here I have a window open.
Write that down.
I'm going to select
drag and drop.
a bunch of files here. You'll notice I have a variety of types, from PDF to Excel to images, even to Word files. I'm simply going to drag and drop them right onto the browser window, and it's going to load them directly into my account. If you have a lot of files or would like to keep things organized, you can actually create subfolders underneath your private folder. Let's go ahead and click New, Folder. We'll call this Email Exhibits. Now I can go into that folder and upload files, or again drag and drop. And now I have a subfolder. This is useful when you have a lot of files to keep things organized and simple. During the deposition, you can easily locate what you're looking for. If you already have your files organized on your local PC, you can grab an entire folder and drop it right into Exhibit Share. This will create the folder and load the entire contents of that folder into Exhibit Share. You'll notice the folder I brought over even had subfolders, and it recreated that folder structure and put the documents in the right spot. Meaning if you have something already organized on your desktop, you can simply drag it over and it'll recreate that organization automatically. Remember, the private folder is only for you and people in your firm. None of the other parties can see the contents of that folder. So ensure that you're putting your documents in there and not the introduced folder. Introduced will be used during the deposition to actually distribute the files to all the other parties. Let's take a look at using
This is where it gets exciting.
An actual deposition.
At the deposition.
First step is to log into your account. Once there, to preview any documents before you share them with the group, you can simply double-click. That will utilize the built-in viewer, giving you a chance to make sure that you're picking the right document. If you have a lot of documents, you can actually use the search tool up at the top. I'm going to search for the word computer. This will not only search the names of the file, but also the contents of the file. So if you know you have a document that referenced a computer, you can use this to search for it. So you'll see here it brings up the document and little excerpts of where the words exist in the document. This looks like the one I want. I can click it and preview to make sure this is the right document. When I'm ready to share a document with the other parties in the case, I can simply select it, go over to the right and say Copy. I'm now going to copy this document into the Introduced folder. Remember, the Introduced folder is the folder that everyone has access to. I'll select Introduced and choose Copy so I still retain my version in my private folder.
So this has complete flexibility in terms of the documents that you have uploaded, as well as the flexibility of adding additional documents on the fly if you need to. You put them in your private folder, the other attorneys log into an account. That account is set up, and it has some name identification with it. Is that right, Tom? How does that work for the attorney that's defending a deposition?
The attorney defending the deposition and all other attorneys, if there's multiple attorneys in the case, will log into that case. So they are given a specific login for the case that you're working on itself. So this way it keeps it a secure, lockdown paperless exhibit deposition.
Tom, what's the cost associated with this feature?
Bob, I don't know that off the top of my head. I was trying to get that from the new company because they're still going through the process since this is a fairly new operation. I know this was something that you and I talked about a couple of years ago, using paperless steps, but I think right now with the server and all, I mean, for FDCC members, I'm sure they're going to make a special program.
A special deal.
That's it.
All right. Well, you know, to really demonstrate this, we thought, well, let's have a mock deposition. Let's have some fun with this. And to really demonstrate how you can bring in people from all time zones. By the way, it's 3:10 a.m. where Mr. Oakes is located. Let's bring in, I want to introduce you to two people. One is my and Tom Miller's other law partner, Ann Trivett. Ann is a brand new member of the FDCC. Very much wanted to come to this meeting, but we actually begged her to please stay home and run the fort. So she's in Seattle. It's 12:15 a.m. in there. Ann, why don't you come on the screen? Good morning, Ann. Welcome to the FDCC, and you're getting a round of applause if you can't hear it. And then we need a deponent. Gosh, where could we find a deponent? Let's find someone that, one, I think would be a cooperative witness, and two, she has to be a long ways away. So Erin and I talked about it and said, you know, we raised this daughter of ours named Laura to be independent, and then she took us up on it, and she moved to Australia. So, Laura, why don't you join us? There's my kid.
Hello.
So Laura is 8 hours ahead of us in Melbourne, Australia, holding up your Friday evening plans, I'm sure. Let me hear your voice to make sure you're live.
Hi, everyone.
There you go. Okay. So let's go ahead. Mr. Oakes, will you swear in the witness? And Ms. Trivett is going to defend this deposition. And let's get started.
Ma'am, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God, or you do so affirm?
I do.
Would you please state your full name, spell your last name, and give us your home address for the record, please?
My name is Laura Christie Kana. Last name spelled Khanna. I live at 93 Mansfield Street, Melbourne, Victoria, 3070 in Australia.
Thank you. Counsel, you may proceed.
Thank you. I'm going to get right to this, Ms. Christie Kana. Do you recall in 2001 that you had a sleepover birthday party at our home?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. I remember it. Do you remember as well that without permission, you borrowed some of my albums to play?
That was a long time ago, 16 years in fact. So if you want to talk about a specific album, I need to see it.
I'm happy to do that. Do you remember specifically borrowing my Deep Purple Machine Head album to play?
I don't recall. I'd have to see the album.
Let me show you what I've had pre-marked as Exhibit 1. And can you confirm for me, Ms. Trivett, that you have received Exhibit 1?
I have it in my folder.
Thank you. And has the witness received Exhibit 1?
Yes, I also have it.
Do you recognize Exhibit 1, and is that a photograph of the album cover from the Deep Purple Machine Head album?
Yeah, now this is the cover art of the album cover. This isn't the album cover in question itself. This is a digital recreation. And as I recall, yours was pretty beer stained from college fraternity days. Didn't look much like this.
But does it refresh your recollection that you did indeed borrow my Deep Purple Machine Head album?
Admittedly, yes.
I'd now like to refresh your recollection further with a second exhibit.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Can you confirm for me that you have received the second exhibit?
I've received it.
I've received it also.
All right, let me, and that is an audio file, correct?
Correct.
Let me play a clip of that. Does that refresh your
Counsel,
recollection about the yes?
Well, I'd like to object to the fact that that's an incomplete exhibit. I don't think anyone else wants to hear the rest of it.
Thank you for that, counsel. I'm trying to expedite this procedure, or this proceeding. Does that refresh your recollection that you did indeed borrow that album and played that song?
It does.
Does it further refresh your memory that when you returned that album, there was a deep scratch in the first song of that album, Highway Star?
Highway Star. It does. But, you know, if we're talking about this album, I mean, I know Mom never liked Deep Purple. She never liked the song Highway Star. She hates heavy metal rock, and especially with electric guitar solos. So I think I did you a favor by taking that album in 2001 and inadvertently damaging it.
Well, I'm going to object to that and move to strike as very, very non-responsive.
That actually was responsive, counsel. And I can personally attest that Aaron Christie has an excellent taste in music.
Thank you for that gratuitous comment as well. So I think at this point, I'm going to move to terminate the deposition. I'd like the two of you to hang around. Tom and I are going to talk a little bit more technology, and then I'll bring you back in at the end. But thank you for helping us. So Ann and Laura are going to stand by. Tom, there's another product that is really a culmination of both this file sharing as well as an ability to upload, transport documents on a cloud anywhere, access them on any device. I've got a short video clip that you provided to me on that. It doesn't have sound, so I'll play that, and why don't you describe what we're seeing here as it's playing. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, Tom, I'm playing the clip now.
So what we're seeing now is something called Veritex Virtual 2.0, and it gives you the ability and the culmination of all the products put together. You're not only able to share exhibits by paperless and sharing them over the internet, you're also able to have the witness use something called exhibit capture. The exhibit capture part of the program allows the witness to mark up the document, and you can actually get all the keystrokes that the witness is using. So in addition to that, you can also have the real-time text, a rough draft, coming through at the same time, in addition to recording it, so that for posterity reasons, you may also want to be able to do video clips, anything that you want during an arbitration or mediation. This will all come to play for you at the same time. I hope, Bob, that helps with this, and
it does.
It gives an overview.
You know, the power of this is that pretty soon we're not going to be schlepping our documents around for depositions. Everyone's going to bring them up on their tablet. We're going to share them with them real time. You'll have your documents with you wherever you go. They'll be organized by deposition, and you'll just be dragging them in from your own file server, your own organizational structure. They'll be secure. Tom, you want to add on that?
I do, and there's another product that's a side piece of Exhibit Share called ACE, which is an advanced case exhibit folder, which takes all the exhibits in a series of depositions that you may have or in a particular case. They're all hyperlinked. All the exhibits are hyperlinked. Everything is searchable, and you can have those on any device. And for someone like you, Bob, you can take all those depositions and all the exhibits and slide it right into the trial pad because they're actually in a PDF format.
And a couple more points about this video conference deposition. Now, obviously, we're not recording this session. You could certainly set it up so that your session was recorded. And in post-production, you could actually then take and on the screen itself, you could develop a split screen where you would have the witness here and you would have the document come up on the other side. You may well have the document come up where you've created call-outs that highlight the information that you're questioning the witness about. A specific piece of the album art on the great Deep Purple Machine Head album would be an example. Well, look, we planned this program to be the last thing you see before we get to important stuff. Laura and Ann, why don't you come on back on the screen, please? Thank you. So, Tom, thank you for sacrificing your sleep. You can now head to bed.
No problem.
And you can head home. I see you're still at work. Thank you, Tom, and I thank you for that. Laura, go about, have a great Friday. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.